Right, so finite state machines seem useful and I am bad at making them. This great beast against me, this throbbing weak spot of mine, this vast adversary. It will face me on the field of battle. Blades and minds will crash. One will remain the victor and the other will become but dust. A finite state machine, or FSM, is a thing that controls the state an entity is in. So for instance, you could have two states, sleeping and awake. If you're awake, you can sleep with the press of a button, but if you're sleeping, you awaken automatically after 8 hours. Perhaps there's a third state, doing taxes, which you can enter if you're awake, but after 20 seconds you go to the sleeping state. You see why this might be useful for setting up complex nets of behavior, abilities and such. Last time I battled with the FSM was a couple of years ago for Clout Hook, the platformer with a reverse grappling hook. It was an awfully unwieldy state machine, a veritable monster filled with spaghetti code, and was unpleasant to use. This was one of the reasons that game stands unfinished even now. The FSM soundly defeated me that day, and all games I have made since have no state machines, including my bullet hell fishing game, Fisticuffs. I do not remember the specific problems, but I do believe that I have learned and grown over the years since, and will instinctively make better code architectural decisions when setting it up this time. So I will not bother to go back and research my earlier mistakes. As a wise man once said, surely this kind of haphazard discarding of past lessons will not come back to bite me later. The reason I have decided to delve headfirst into the lair of the notorious and feared finite state machine is that one seems to be required for this game idea I would like to make. Pretty much Pokemon with real-time combat. A game which I fully intend to not finish because it seems large, but it'll be interesting to see how far I get. I'm sure to learn a great deal, in addition to potentially conquering the FSM. So here's the battle plan, the scheme of attack, the blueprint of destruction, the textbook of war crimes. In the Godot engine, the game is made of this node hierarchy where each node can hold many other nodes. This seems like a great structure to use here. Each FSM will be a node attached to its entity, and attached to the FSM is a bunch of possible states, each of which also being a node. The FSM itself mostly just has functionality to switch states from one to another, but the meat of the control is in the hands of the states. Each state has executive control over what the entity is doing and can do. For instance, this state, normal. It allows the player to move around normally with this normal moving function here. And to demonstrate it, I constructed the most basic possible example. A system with two states, normal and stunned. Normal state allows movement, and if you press a button, you go to the stunned state. After 1 second, you go back to normal. To the shock of myself, everyone who's ever met me, my personal FBI agent, and Zeus himself, it kind of worked perfectly. Where's my battle FSM? I came here for a fight! Clearly the enemy has not been truly felled, but it is weak now. There's an opening to be taken advantage of. I immediately added not one but two attacks, a headbutt dash and a ground stomp, and a target dummy to be the victim of these attacks. Each attack is another state, which creates a hitbox on a particular frame of the animation, which then deals damage to any enemies it hits. And when the animation is over, you're back to normal state. This also means that you can't move mid-attack. The attack states don't have move power. To my complete horror, and in utter disregard for the natural order of things, the system I carelessly made works without a problem. It's completely fine. The finite state machine, once a horrendous beast that stood before me, now lays twitching and defenseless on the floor. As I proceed to make this once formidable creature do my bidding, I would do well to respect it, lest it retaliate in future. I will have to do constant work to keep it from becoming unwieldy and spaghettious as the game grows. One thing I think needs to be done is moving as much behavior as possible from the entity to the states. That way I'll be able to reuse the same states across multiple entities with ease. I've done a bit of that already, but as the game grows, I'm sure it'll be an ongoing task to keep it in mind at all times. The true challenge, after all, is not the first encounter with the FSM, but making use of it for weeks or months without being driven to kill myself in a bunker. For now, I'm going to stop talking the talk and start making the game. Bye. Whee!